Have you ever woken up one morning feeling perfectly fine only to suddenly wonder why your ankles look swollen, why your blood pressure keeps creeping up, or why your body just feels heavier than it used to? Most people brush these things off as aging. But what if I told you these small signs might be the quiet whispers of kidneys that are already reaching their breaking point? And here's the part no one wants to hear by the time your kidneys finally scream loud enough for you to notice nearly 70% of their function may already be gone. And at that stage, the clock is ticking faster than you realize because kidney disease doesn't strike loudly. It destroys silently. But I need you to stay with me because what I'm about to reveal is not a mild warning. It's a wake-up call that could genuinely save your life or someone you love. Right now, millions of Americans over 50 are eating foods they believe are perfectly healthy, even doctor-approved, without knowing those same foods are quietly overloading their kidneys, drop by drop, day by day, until one morning, everything changes. And it's not your fault no one told you the truth. Not your labels, not your diet books, not even your helpful friends who told you just eat more fruits and vegetables. Because the truth is, the wrong healthy food can be far more dangerous than obvious junk food ever was. And I promise you this, by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly which everyday foods are silently pushing your kidneys toward failure, and which simple changes can pull them back from the edge. You're not here for fear. You're here for answers, and I'm going to give them to you clearly, honestly, and scientifically, the same way I guide my own patients every single day. But before we get there, I need you to understand one thing, and it's the key that makes everything else finally make sense. The first food we need to talk about is one most Americans proudly call healthy, the avocado. And listen, I get why. It's creamy, it's trendy, it's the star of every so-called heart-healthy breakfast. But what most people don't realize, especially after age 50, is that a single medium avocado carries nearly 975 milligrams of potassium, almost half of what a kidney-impaired adult should consume in an entire day. I remember a patient named Robert, 62 years old, who thought he was doing everything right. He switched from bacon and eggs to avocado toast because everyone told him it was the healthier choice. But when his creatinine jumped from 1.4 to 1.9 in less than 8 weeks, he was terrified. And when we broke down his diet, the culprit wasn't junk food. It was the healthy foods his kidneys simply couldn't handle anymore. Scientifically, here's why it happens. Aging kidneys lose efficiency in removing excess potassium, and when potassium builds up, it disrupts your heart rhythm, weakens your muscles, and pushes creatinine higher. It's not that avocados are bad foods. It's that your kidneys after 50 don't filter the same way they did at 30. And if you already have high blood pressure, diabetes, or even borderline kidney function, that extra potassium acts like weight on a tired bridge, one extra load away from bending. So yes, avocados can be a silent danger once your filtration weakens. But just knowing this isn't enough, because the next food on the list is something even more common, even more trusted, and far more dangerous for aging kidneys. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If avocados are the silent heavyweight of potassium, then bananas are the everyday trap that almost every American falls into without thinking. They're convenient, they're cheap, and they've been marketed as the perfect healthy snack for decades. But here's the truth. Most people never hear a single medium banana contains around 422 milligrams of potassium, and almost nobody eats just one. I treated a woman named Denise, 58 years old, who blended 2 bananas into her morning smoothie every single day because she believed it boosted her energy. What she didn't realize was that her daily smoothie delivered nearly 1,000 milligrams of potassium before noon. When her lab results showed elevated potassium and rising creatinine, she was shocked. But Dr. Johnny, it's just fruit, she said. Yes, fruit, but fruit that your kidneys cannot keep up with once filtration slows. Medically, the science is crystal clear. When potassium rises faster than your kidneys can remove it, it interferes with electrical signals in your muscles and heart. That's why so many people over 50 experience leg cramps, irregular heartbeat, or unexplained fatigue, and never connect it to bananas. And when creatinine rises alongside potassium, it signals that the filtration units of the kidneys are already under pressure and struggling to maintain balance. This is why something as simple as eating 2 bananas a day can overwhelm kidneys that are already working overtime. So yes, bananas may look innocent, But for anyone over 50 with reduced filtration, they can accelerate kidney decline faster than you'd ever expect. But only knowing this still isn't enough because the next food on the list is even more deceptive. Something people drink every morning without realizing how dangerous it becomes for aging kidneys. But just knowing this alone is not enough because the next factor is even more dangerous. And if bananas are the daily trap, then oranges and orange juice are the morning mistake almost every American over 50 unknowingly makes. They look so harmless, bright, fresh, full of vitamin C, and for years you've heard that starting your day with a glass of orange juice is healthy. But what most people don't realize is that a single cup of orange juice contains nearly 500 milligrams of potassium, and a large glass can push that number well past 1,000. I remember a patient named Harold, a 71-year-old grandfather, who drank orange juice every morning for decades. He thought he was supporting his immune system. But when his potassium spiked and his EKG showed early rhythm changes, he couldn't believe something he'd trusted his whole life had turned against him. Scientifically, the problem isn't just the potassium, it's the oxalates found in oranges and citrus fruits. Oxalates can crystallize inside the kidneys, forming microscopic shards that irritate the tissue fuel inflammation and eventually lead to kidney stones or accelerated kidney decline. And when you drink orange juice instead of eating the whole fruit, you remove the fiber and concentrate the sugar and potassium, forcing your kidneys to handle a sudden rush of minerals they simply cannot filter fast enough. For someone with healthy kidneys, this isn't an issue. But for someone over 50 or anyone with reduced GFR, those spikes can push creatinine higher in a matter of weeks. So yes, that innocent glass of orange juice can quietly strain your kidneys every single morning, even though it looks like the perfect healthy choice. But understanding this is still not enough because the next food on the list is far more dangerous, far more concentrated, and it's sitting in almost every pantry in America. But just knowing this alone is not enough because the next factor is even more dangerous. If oranges quietly overload your kidneys, then dried fruits are the hidden landmine almost nobody talks about. They look innocent, tiny, sweet, convenient, but the danger's in their concentration. When water is removed, everything else becomes intensified, the potassium, the sugar, and the oxalates. I once worked with a retired teacher named Melissa who kept a small bag of raisins in her purse, thinking they were a healthy natural snack. What she didn't know was that one single cup of raisins carries over 1,000 milligrams of potassium, more than half the recommended daily intake for anyone with reduced kidney function. And because they're small and don't fill you up, people eat far more than they realize. But the real trap is how quickly dried fruits hit the bloodstream. Without the water content to slow digestion, potassium floods the body, fast forcing aging kidneys to filter at a pace they simply can't handle. Science backs this up. Clinical data shows that dehydrated fruits spike potassium up to 3 times faster than fresh produce, increasing the risk of hyperkalemia, an electrolyte imbalance that can disrupt your heartbeat in minutes. Even worse, dried apricots and prunes contain high oxalate levels, tiny crystalline compounds that can stick together inside your kidneys and form stones that feel like broken glass tearing through your back. So yes, dried fruits are natural, but nature concentrated into a dangerous dose isn't nature anymore. It's a silent overload hiding in your trail mix, cereal bowls, and lunch boxes. But even understanding this still isn't enough, because the next food on the list is something people eat every day believing it's the healthiest vegetable on earth. And for weakened kidneys, it's one of the most damaging. But just knowing this alone is not enough because the next factor is even more dangerous. Spinach is often praised as a superfood, but for people over 50 with weakened kidneys, it can quietly become a super problem. And the danger isn't obvious, which is exactly why so many seniors fall into this trap. Spinach is loaded with vitamins, yes, but it's also one of the highest oxalate foods on the planet. Just half a cup can contain over 200-300 milligrams of oxalates compounds that crystallize into sharp stones that cut through your urinary tract like shattered glass. I'll never forget a patient named Robert, a 62-year-old gardener, who blended spinach smoothies every morning because he believed he was doing everything right. 3 months later, he ended up in the ER with kidney stones so severe he said the pain felt worse than breaking a bone. Lab results showed high oxalate crystals clogging his nephrons like wet cement. And here's where the science gets even more concerning. Once oxalates bind to calcium inside your kidneys, they create insoluble crystals your body cannot dissolve. They linger, grow, and scrape the delicate kidney tissue, triggering inflammation that raises creatinine levels. A 2020 study in Frontiers in Nutrition showed that high oxalate diets increase the risk of kidney injury by up to 44%, especially in adults over 50, whose filtration rate has already naturally declined. Even boiling spinach barely reduces its oxalate load, which means healthy alternatives like kale cabbage or romaine lettuce are far safer choices. But the real shock comes from this. Most people who avoid spinach still unknowingly consume other high oxalate vegetables like beets, Swiss chard, and rhubarb, thinking they're clean eating. These foods carry the same hidden danger, silently overloading kidneys that are already fighting every day to keep your body balanced. But even understanding this still isn't enough, because the next food on the list is something millions drink daily, and it damages kidneys drop by drop. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If spinach attacks your kidneys through oxalates, soda destroys them in an entirely different and far more deceptive way. Because soda doesn't hurt immediately. It doesn't cause stabbing pain or swelling right away. Instead, it damages your kidneys drop by drop, sip by sip, in a slow, silent breakdown that most people never notice until the lab results come back. I remember a patient named Harold, 58 years old, who drank just 1 can of cola a day. He insisted it couldn't possibly be hurting him because he wasn't drinking alcohol, wasn't smoking, and felt fine. But his creatinine kept rising. When we dug deeper, we found the real culprit: liquid sugar. You see, sugar in liquid form hits your bloodstream 5 to 10 times faster than solid sugar. It causes rapid spikes in blood glucose, and when your body can't use it fast enough, your kidneys are forced to filter out the excess. Over time, this overworks the nephrons, the tiny filters inside your kidneys, leading to microscarring that slowly reduces kidney function. And diet soda isn't any safer. Research from the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that drinking diet soda daily is associated with a 67% higher risk of developing kidney dysfunction. Artificial sweeteners confuse your insulin response, phosphorus additives strain your filtration system, and carbonation contributes to calcium loss, weakening your bones as your kidneys try desperately to compensate. But here's the part almost nobody knows: phosphorus additives in sodas are absorbed up to 100% compared to natural phosphorus in food, which is absorbed at only about 40%. That means every can delivers a blast your kidneys must process immediately with no buffer. It's like throwing sand into a machine that's already running hot. It grinds down faster, and one day it simply stops. Switching to water, lemon-infused water, or herbal teas is one of the simplest changes that can dramatically improve filtration and stabilize creatinine. Yet even this powerful knowledge leads us to an even bigger threat, because the next item on the list isn't a drink at all, but a healthy snack millions of people eat daily without realizing how aggressively it damages aging kidneys. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If soda weakens your kidneys, drop by drop almonds attack them bite by bite. And the worst part, most people eat almonds because they think they're doing something healthy. I once treated a 61-year-old woman named Patricia who swapped potato chips for almonds, believing it was the smartest choice she could make. She snacked on them daily at her desk during car rides before bed. 3 months later, her labs showed a sharp rise in creatinine. She looked at me confused and said, "But I only ate almonds. Isn't that supposed to be good for you?" Here's the truth most people never hear. Almonds are extremely high in oxalates, the same compounds in spinach that form kidney stones. Just 1 ounce of almonds contains enough oxalates to spark crystal formation in people whose kidneys are already filtering at reduced speed. And it doesn't stop there. Almonds also deliver a heavy hit of phosphorus, around 136 milligrams per ounce, which healthy kidneys can handle, but aging kidneys cannot. Excess phosphorus builds up silently, pulling calcium from your bones and depositing it into your blood vessels, raising the risk of vascular calcification and high blood pressure. A 2020 report from the National Kidney Foundation warns that nuts high in oxalates and phosphorus can accelerate kidney decline in people over 50, especially if eaten daily. And because almonds are so small and tasty portion, control is often forgotten. Patricia wasn't eating a handful, she was eating 3 or 4 without realizing it, multiplying her oxalate load with every bite. The kidneys don't scream. They don't send warnings. They simply work harder, until one day they can't. The safer alternatives, macadamia nuts, pecans, or walnuts, which have far lower oxalate and phosphorus levels. They offer healthy fats without overwhelming your kidney's filtration system. But this leads us to an even more shocking truth, because the next food on this list is something millions eat every single morning, and it's far more dangerous than almonds could ever be. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If almonds overload your kidneys with oxalates and phosphorus, then potatoes strike in a way far more subtle and far more dangerous. Because potatoes don't look harmful. They're comforting, familiar, and found in almost every American kitchen. Mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, fries, chips, they're everywhere. And that's exactly why the danger goes unnoticed. I once worked with a 67-year-old man named Raymond who swore he barely ate anything unhealthy. But when we looked closer, he was eating potatoes in some form every single day. His creatinine had climbed steadily for 4 months, and he couldn't understand why. Here's the science most people never learn. A medium potato contains around 610 to 900 milligrams of potassium, depending on how it's prepared. For someone over 50 with even mildly reduced kidney function, that's enough to push potassium levels higher than the kidneys can safely filter. And because potatoes are comfort food, people eat them in big portions, double servings of mashed potatoes, oversized baked potatoes, endless refills of fries. When that potassium floods the bloodstream too quickly, the kidneys can't keep up, and potassium begins to accumulate. High potassium hyperkalemia isn't just a number on a lab report. It can cause muscle weakness, irregular heartbeats, and even sudden cardiac arrest. Even worse, the potassium in potatoes is highly bioavailable, meaning the body absorbs it rapidly. Boiling can reduce some potassium, but baking, roasting, air frying, and frying all concentrate it even more. And processed potato foods, chips, tater tots, hash browns are often loaded with sodium, which forces the kidneys to retain water, raises blood pressure, and compounds the stress on already aging nephrons. A study published in the Clinical Kidney Journal found that seniors who consumed high-potassium starchy vegetables daily had a significantly higher risk of creatinine elevation and declining GFR within 1 year. Raymond was shocked when he found out his innocent potatoes were driving his numbers up. When he replaced them with lower potassium alternatives like cauliflower mash, white rice, or sautéed cabbage, his potassium stabilized and his creatinine improved within 3 months. Potatoes aren't evil, but for the kidneys they can be a heavy burden disguised as a comfort dish. But understanding this is still not enough, because the next food on the list is something millions of people eat believing it's heart healthy. Yet for weakened kidneys, it can quietly accelerate long-term damage. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If potatoes quietly overload your kidneys with fast-absorbing potassium, tomatoes strike in a way most people never expect through concentration. A fresh tomato seems harmless, refreshing even. But the moment tomatoes are turned into sauce, paste, ketchup, or juice, they become a potassium bomb hiding in plain sight. I once treated a 64-year-old patient named Ellen who made homemade pasta every weekend. Her sauce simmered for hours using nearly a dozen tomatoes. She believed she was eating clean, heart-healthy food, yet her potassium levels kept creeping up. When we traced her diet, the truth was obvious. It wasn't the pasta, it was the sauce. Here's the science behind that unexpected danger. A single cup of tomato sauce can contain up to 900 milligrams of potassium. That's nearly half the daily limit for someone with weakened kidney function. And because tomato products are concentrated, the potassium becomes more densely packed, hitting the bloodstream quickly. Even more troubling, tomatoes contain compounds like lycopene that, while good for the heart, can slow down certain detox pathways when kidney filtration is already weakened. When your kidneys can't efficiently remove excess potassium, it stays in your blood longer, forcing your heart to work under unstable electrical conditions. Research published by the National Institutes of Health shows that consistent consumption of potassium-dense tomato products significantly increases serum potassium in adults with early-stage kidney disease. And tomato juice. Many brands contain added sodium double damage, raising blood pressure while potassium climbs silently in the background. This is why so many seniors feel more tired after Italian meals without realizing the real cause is electrolyte stress piling up inside their kidneys. The solution isn't to remove tomatoes completely, but to be strategic. Use fresh tomatoes in moderation. Choose low-potassium alternatives like roasted red peppers for sauces, or dilute tomato paste with water and vegetables to reduce potassium density. Small tweaks can dramatically reduce kidney strain while still letting you enjoy your favorite dishes. But even this isn't the biggest surprise because the next food on the list is something people around the world begin their morning with, believing it's harmless while it slowly chips away at kidney function day after day. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If tomatoes quietly overload your kidneys with potassium, then coffee creamers deliver a different kind of damage, one that sneaks in through your very first sip each morning. Most people don't realize that store-bought creamers, especially the flavored powdered ones, are packed with phosphate additives. And these additives behave very differently from natural phosphorus found in food. Natural phosphorus is absorbed at about 40–60%, but phosphate additives. Your body absorbs up to 100%, meaning every teaspoon hits your kidneys like a direct shock. I once worked with a 59-year-old truck driver named Bill. He didn't drink soda, didn't eat chips, barely touched desserts, but he loved his coffee sweet and creamy. Every morning without fail, he'd pour 2 big scoops of powdered creamer into his thermos. He thought he was making a harmless choice, but his phosphorus levels kept rising. His GFR kept dropping, and he couldn't understand why because everything else in his diet looked clean. When we finally checked his creamer label, the first thing listed after sugar was dipotassium phosphate, a chemical additive directly linked to kidney calcification. Here's what the science says: repeated exposure to phosphate additives accelerates vascular calcification, hardening the blood vessels in and around the kidneys. It also triggers an increase in FGF23, a hormone that rises in kidney disease and can damage the heart. A study in the Journal of Renal Nutrition showed that daily intake of phosphate additives can raise serum phosphorus levels by 15–20% in older adults, high enough to push fragile kidneys toward rapid decline. And because creamers dissolve instantly, those chemical phosphates absorb faster than any solid food, giving your kidneys no time to adapt. The fix is simple but powerful: switch to real dairy, unsweetened almond milk, oat milk, or drink your coffee black. These choices eliminate the artificial phosphate burden and allow your kidneys to catch their breath. Bill made the switch, and within 8 weeks, his phosphorus stabilized and his filtration rate stopped plummeting. Sometimes the biggest dangers hide in the smallest habits. But even understanding this still isn't enough, because the next food on this list is something millions of people snack on every afternoon, believing it boosts energy while it silently forces kidneys to work far harder than they should. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If coffee creamers load your kidneys with dangerous phosphate additives, then protein bars take the problem a step further, delivering potassium, sugar, and synthetic ingredients all at once disguised as healthy fuel. And the worst part, these bars are marketed to older adults as the perfect quick snack. But inside that shiny wrapper often lies a chemical cocktail your kidneys were never built to handle. I met a 63-year-old gym goer named Thomas, who ate 1 protein bar every afternoon before his walk. He thought he was being disciplined, but his creatinine rose every visit, and he couldn't understand why he didn't drink, didn't smoke, and stayed active. Here's the truth: many protein bars contain potassium chloride, a common salt substitute used to enhance flavor and preserve shelf life. And unlike natural potassium in fruits, this chemical form absorbs almost instantly, spiking potassium levels so rapidly that struggling kidneys can't filter it out in time. Add to that 20–30 grams of sugar, often disguised as tapioca syrup, brown rice syrup, or organic cane sugar, and you force your kidneys to juggle 2 metabolic stressors at once: excess potassium and excess glucose. Research from the American Journal of Kidney Diseases shows that ultra-processed snacks containing potassium additives increase the risk of hyperkalemia by 32%, especially in adults over 55. Thomas was shocked when he learned that his healthy snack wasn't healthy at all, and it doesn't stop at potassium. Many bars also contain whey protein isolate, which creates more nitrogen waste your kidneys must filter. For someone with even mild kidney decline, This added filtration load can push creatinine higher week after week. The combination of fast-absorbing potassium, added sugars, and processed protein acts like a triple hit on your kidneys, draining their strength without you realizing it. The good news: switching to whole food snacks like sliced apples, unsalted rice cakes, or a small handful of low oxalate nuts can reduce this hidden kidney strain dramatically. Thomas made the switch, and within 2 months, his numbers stabilized. But as eye-opening as this is, it still isn't the most surprising food on this list, because the next one is something almost every household in America keeps in the pantry, believing it's a clean, natural carbohydrate, when in reality it can quietly accelerate kidney decline. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If protein bars hit your kidneys with fast-absorbing potassium additives, then whole grain cereals and wheat germ deliver a quieter but equally destructive blow. Most people over 50 reach for bran cereal or wheat germ, thinking they're making a heart-healthy, fiber-rich choice. And yes, they're great for digestion, but not great for aging kidneys that are already fighting to keep blood minerals stable. I once counseled a 70-year-old woman named Linda, who proudly told me she started every morning with a bowl of bran flakes and a spoonful of wheat germ for energy. Yet month after month, her phosphorus levels climbed and her GFR dropped, despite her doing everything right. Here's what she didn't know: bran cereal and wheat germ are extremely high in organic phosphorus. While that might sound less dangerous than the chemical phosphorus found in processed foods, the truth is still harsh. Aging kidneys cannot clear these high loads efficiently. A single serving of bran cereal can contain 350–450 milligrams of phosphorus, and wheat germ adds even more on top. When phosphorus builds up, the body tries to correct the imbalance by pulling calcium from your bones and depositing it in your arteries, heart valves, and kidneys. This process, vascular calcification, is one of the silent drivers of kidney decline in older adults. Scientific studies published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition show that people over 60 who consume phosphorus-heavy grains daily have a significantly higher risk of GFR decline within 2 years. And because bran cereals are marketed as health foods, people often eat them in large bowls, not realizing they're getting 2 or 3 servings at once. This overload forces the kidneys to work harder during the very hours they should be in recovery mode. The safer alternative is simple switch to low-phosphorus grains like white rice, cream of wheat, or rice-based cereals. Pair them with fruits low in potassium, like blueberries or pears, and you instantly reduce kidney strain while keeping your digestion smooth. Linda made the change, and after 3 months, her phosphorus normalized and her energy returned. But even this isn't the most surprising item on the list, because the next food is something people snack on while believing it keeps the heart healthy. Yet its potassium load can overwhelm weakened kidneys faster than almost any fruit on the shelf. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If whole grains quietly overload your kidneys with phosphorus, then dried apricots and prunes attack in a way that's far more intense, because these fruits compress enormous amounts of potassium into a tiny, innocent-looking bite. Many seniors snack on dried apricots thinking they're choosing something healthy, natural, and heart-friendly. But the truth is shocking. Just half a cup of dried apricots can contain over 1,500 milligrams of potassium, more than many kidney patients should consume in an entire day. And because dried fruits are small, sweet, and soft, people overeat them without even realizing it. I once worked with a retired accountant named George who replaced cookies with dried apricots to clean up his diet. Within 8 weeks, his potassium shot into the danger zone, and he started experiencing muscle weakness and lightheadedness. He couldn't understand why he thought he had made a healthier choice. But his kidneys, already filtering slower due to age, couldn't keep up with the surge of potassium that dried fruits deliver almost instantly into the bloodstream. Without the water found in fresh fruits to slow digestion, dried fruits hit like a surge, forcing kidneys to filter faster than they're physically capable of. Science confirms the danger. A clinical review in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics found that dried fruits cause potassium spikes 2 to 3 times faster than their fresh counterparts, and prunes are no exception. They're marketed for digestive health, but their potassium content, over 1,000 milligrams per cup, poses a serious threat to anyone with reduced kidney function. Add in the natural sugar concentration, and you get a metabolic overload that weakens kidney filtration even further. The safer solution is simple. Choose fresh fruits with lower potassium like apples, grapes, blueberries, strawberries, or pears. These provide antioxidants and fiber without sending your kidney filtration system into crisis mode. George made the switch, and within a month his potassium stabilized and his strength returned. But as risky as dried fruits can be, the final item on this list is even more alarming because it's a food people consider the ultimate healthy choice. Yet for someone over 50 with weakening kidneys, it can accelerate kidney damage faster than almost anything else they eat. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous. If dried fruits quietly overload your bloodstream with concentrated potassium, then avocados deliver that overload in one clean, heavy hit. And this is the twist almost nobody expects, because avocados are one of the most praised foods in America. You hear about them on morning talk shows and fitness magazines and every healthy breakfast video. But what those headlines forget to mention is this: just one medium avocado contains nearly 1,000 milligrams of potassium. For someone over 50 with reduced kidney filtration, that single avocado can take up half, sometimes more, of their entire daily potassium allowance. I remember a patient named Denise, 56 years old, who switched from toast and eggs to avocado toast because she believed she was making the smartest, cleanest choice possible. She had no idea her kidneys were already weakening. Within 2 months, her potassium began creeping into the high-risk zone. She felt fine, no symptoms at all, until one night she woke up with heart palpitations and numbness in her hands. Her lab work revealed dangerously elevated potassium, and the #1 culprit was the daily avocado she never questioned. Here's why avocados hit so hard: their potassium is highly bioavailable, meaning the body absorbs it quickly and efficiently. That's wonderful for young, healthy kidneys, but a disaster for aging ones that can't remove excess potassium fast enough. Studies from the National Kidney Foundation show that adults over 55 with declining kidney function are especially sensitive to high potassium foods, and avocados rank among the highest in potassium per serving of any common fruit. And the danger grows when eaten alongside other potassium-rich foods like tomatoes, bananas, or spinach, something many people do without thinking. But the story goes even deeper. Avocados also contain plant sterols like beta-sitosterol, which, while helpful for cholesterol, can interfere with kidney cell membranes when consumed in excess, altering filtration efficiency over time. And because avocados are creamy, delicious, and trendy, nobody eats just a few bites. They eat half or the whole thing, sometimes daily. For kidney safety, the solution is moderation. Limit avocado to 1/4 per serving, or swap it entirely for safer, healthy fats like olive oil or a handful of pecans. This gives you the benefits without overloading your kidneys. But even this final item brings us to a deeper realization: these 14 foods aren't dangerous because they're bad. They're dangerous because weakened kidneys cannot keep up with the metabolic load they deliver. And that's exactly why the conclusion of this video will show you how to turn all this knowledge into real protection. But just knowing these foods is not enough, because what you do next determines whether your kidneys decline or begin to heal. You've just taken one of the most important steps anyone over 50 can take for their health. You've educated yourself. And I want you to hear this from me clearly. You are not powerless. Your kidneys are not doomed. Even if you've been eating these foods for years, even if your creatinine has started creeping up, even if you felt tired or swollen or scared, you can still change your future starting today. Small choices made consistently can protect your kidneys more than you realize. I've seen people turn their numbers around. I've seen energy return, swelling disappear, lab results improve, and fear replaced with confidence. And if they can do it, you can too. So here's what I want you to do. Save this video so you can come back to it whenever you're grocery shopping or planning your meals. Share it with someone you love, because kidney disease is silent, and one simple video can literally protect a life. And if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I'm here to guide you step by step with the most practical, science-backed kidney tips, so you never feel confused or alone on this journey. Your health deserves clarity, truth, and support. And before you go, let me leave you with this. Your kidneys are fighting for you every single day, filtering your blood, protecting your heart, keeping your body balanced even when you sleep. They've carried you through every year of your life without asking for anything in return. Now, they're asking for your help. And the beautiful thing is, you can give it. With the right choices, the right knowledge, and the right support, you can protect your kidneys, reclaim your energy, and live the life you were meant to live. I'm proud of you for being here. And I'm right here with you every step of the way. Stay strong, stay informed, and take care of those kidneys because they've been taking care of you for decades.